Good evening, Range of Beauties, and welcome to the Pink Politics Show. In less than a week, on November the 13th to be exact, the Supreme Court will hear a landmark case on African American protections. This is a huge story that should be getting much more media coverage. It's a case that exposes racial bigotry at the highest echelons of the Democratic-sponsored media in the United States. It's also a case that could determine whether Black American entrepreneurs and businesses around the country are granted equal opportunities when it comes down to selling and/or buying commodities in the United States. Media behemoth and racist cable television operator, Comcast Corporation, is currently trying to repeal the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Now, in case you don't already know, that's a post-Civil War law that forbids racial discrimination against Black Americans and business contracts. Most people know Black American media mogul and TV personality Byron Allen. Well, Comcast refused to distribute the television channels that Allen owns because he's Black. For almost 10 years, Allen offered his channels to Comcast but was rejected time after time, while lesser-known, white-owned channels were accepted and launched. Now, this was clearly a violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which was created during Reconstruction to protect Black Americans from discriminatory business practices. Lawyers for Comcast are angry that a federal court thought so too. The federal court ruled in favor of Allen, but being the bigoted, racist, sore losers they are, they, being Comcast and their fraudulent attorneys, asked the Supreme Court to overturn the decision by the federal court, who refused to allow Comcast to discriminate against Allen on the basis of his race. If the 9 judges are fair, Allen should easily win the case because Comcast executive officers have proven on many occasions that they're racist, anti-Black American, politically motivated amoralists operating a bogus and deceptive telecommunications conglomerate. Take one of their cable news networks, for example. Just in case you don't know this, and I sincerely hope you do, because more Black Americans watched this channel last year than any other cable network in prime time, MSNBC, the channel that's widely seen as a Democratic version of Fox News, is owned by Comcast. The very same Comcast that is asking the Supreme Court to abrogate or do away with the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Now, Comcast's highest-rated propagandists, Chris Hayes, Rachel Maddow, and Lawrence O'Donnell, would never tell you this. They'd never tell you that their bosses are trying to turn back the clock on your civil rights. Nor would they tell you that MSNBC is owned by Comcast and thus is nothing more than the mouthpiece of the Democratic Party and the network's Democratic liberal owner, which we'll discuss later on in another video. But Comcast's fraud, deception, and overall racism manifest itself in a number of different ways. For instance, having Joy Reid, a Black immigrant who possibly has American citizenship, as an MSNBC news anchor is one of the most abhorrent ways. Reid poses as the oppressed descendant of enslaved Black Americans every weekend on MSNBC while advocating for pro-immigration policies that hurt real Black Americans in a myriad of ways. Comcast's fraud, deception, and overall anti-Black Americanness also manifest itself in its film division. Focus Features is a film production and distribution company. It's also a subsidiary of Comcast. Last week, this company released a movie that was extremely offensive to Black Americans in so many ways. First of all, the movie had an African immigrant who made disparaging remarks about Black Americans on her Twitter page. This was insulting and offensive because she was starring as one of the most revered Black American leaders in Black American history. And secondly, the main villain in the movie was a Black man that never even existed in real life. Comcast and the stupid people they paid to write and produce this highly offensive movie were trying to rewrite history to suit their current political goals, which of course is to keep Black American women voting Democratic and upset at Black American men who don't. Allen's lawyers should cite these two examples along with many others when making their case to the Supreme Court. These examples prove beyond reasonable doubt that Comcast is racist, and therefore race was a motivating factor in its decision to reject Mr. Allen's TV channels. Hopefully Byron Allen wins the case. Of course, it would be great for the Black American billionaire, entertainment and media mogul as an individual businessman, but more importantly, a Byron Allen win against racist Comcast would not only be better for Black America as a collective, but also a much-needed victory. Every single Black American who is a victim of racial discrimination will face a higher hurdle to having their claims heard in court if Comcast prevails. Melanistic ladies, you can do your part by supporting Byron Allen, but you shouldn't stop there. You should also do your part by not only canceling Comcast service, but also canceling the Democratic Party, which is the political party that Comcast supports. Thank you for joining us. I'm Taylor Washington, and this is Pink Politics, where Black womanhood and politics converge.